Hello, I'm Colin with another story from Pitlochry's history. Today we're going to talk about Crannogs. The Iron Age people built Crannogs, artificial islands which were usually circular or oval in form. Crannogs were defensive homesteads surrounded by water and thus secure from wolves and aggressors. Crannogs were used throughout Scotland as long as 2,500 years ago and as recently as the 17th century. They lasted because they were a successful style of home, close to fertile land, fresh water and productive woodland. Water provided the best means of travel when much of Scotland was covered by dense woodland. Indeed, during the recreation of a crannog in Loch Tay, archaeologists discovered a dugout logboat made from a single oak tree measuring almost 9 metres in length. As Dr. Nick Dixon of the Scottish Trust for Underwater Archaeology explained, Crannogs may be described as artificial islands, originally built of timber, utilising driven piles to create a platform above the water, supporting a house or settlement. The name may suggest a type of site that is probably quaint and rarely discovered, but nothing could be further from the truth. Crannogs are found throughout the country, and they vary in size and shape enormously. In one loch alone, for example, and that's Loch Tay, not far from Pitlochry, there are the remains of 18 crannogs, ranging in size from about 8 metres to 80 metres, and with occupation dating from the early Iron Age to the recent past. Underwater excavation at a submerged crannog opposite Oakbank at Fernan on the north side of Loch Tay led to finds and conclusions which include its occupation from about 600 BC, it's being built originally as a freestanding platform with wooden supporting piles, some up to 7 metres long, driven into the loch bed, where they were soon retained fast within its cloying clays. Its piles were actually made mostly of alder, requiring regular maintenance and replacement, not by removing the old piles, which were stuck fast, but by adding new ones adjacent. The loch bed beneath the platform became overlain through time with a mound of debris which later piles could not penetrate, thus requiring support from stones and boulders sized between 30 and 80 centimetres, which gradually built up to form an island beneath the platform, eventually penetrating the surface, and in later times forming the actual foundation for a later age dwelling. The reliance of dwellers upon an agricultural economy, choosing to live on the water partly to avoid taking up valuable arable land for housing, and partly to provide a measure of protection and perhaps status. Its dwellers were proficient craftsmen and adroit at using all aspects of the local environment in all they did, created and ate. And they were on a trade route which was shown through beads and other items at the site which were made out with Scotland and were traded and transported in. And it provided vital information needed for the recreation of the crannog at Crochnacaber on the opposite side of Loch Tay from Oakbank, which has been used as a modern-day interpretation centre since 1997. Elsewhere, until the level of Loch Tummel was raised by 5.2 metres as part of the Tummel-Garry hydroelectric scheme, there was a crannog opposite Portanellan in Loch Tummel, on which Duncan the Stout, then chief of the Clan Donaghy, built a small fortified house and garden. Remains of the house and surrounding trees were removed when the crannog was submerged by the loch in 1951. There was a second smaller crannog in Loch Tummel, a little further east, in line with Tresset. And there's one in Loch Rannoch, known as Eilean Nam Fwaleg, meaning the Isle of the Seagulls, which is still evident, with a tower or keep built upon it, which has a little lean to one side. In Pitlochry, the Black Castle of Mullin, which I'll talk about in another story, was built on a crannog, as it was erected in the centre of what at the time was a marshy lochen. Thank you.